I just want to say hi. I am Punch Life Back, and this is the Matrix Guard. Yes, sirs and madams. Yes, sirs and madams. Okay. Oh, I just got dueling opinions. I'm gonna need a third person to weigh in here. Come on, third tiebreaker person. Hey, you guys, what are you grateful for right now, by the way, while we're waiting for the tiebreaker? I am grateful to be alive. I am grateful that my garden is pumping out food left and right. I am super blessed that way. Okay, SS. All right, so we're gonna start with the course, P-Trix, and see how it goes. And I'm gonna have to let you guys tell me, like, oh, not today, Punch, please no. If it ends up being a little too dry or whatever. Okay, thanks, P-Trix. Yeah, so what are you guys grateful for? And then I'll roll into this. Yay, able to do more housework, even though I said I would stop for the spring. Aww. How are you carving out time for that, Scott? I don't even know. I don't even know. Oh my gosh, are you seriously? Dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, can you even get supplies right now? Like, I think my Home Depot's closed. That sounds pretty badass, though. You know, I'm finding, like, a lot of comfort in, like, doing stuff that I can have control over. Because there's a lot that I can't control right now. So I've been gardening a lot, and that feels so good. Some great music that I could dance and sing to this morning. Yeah, while farming in Persona 5. That sounds amazing, SS. Oh, yay. Oh, yeah. Aw, one less arch in your house. You don't have enough of those. Yeah, I don't know, I'm really grateful too. So I think I mentioned this, but I'm working on like doing a beta test of a support line for people. So that if anybody's in, you know, just kind of this like unhappy space, they're not in crisis, but they're definitely like struggling with stress or, you know, just all the kinds of things we're struggling with right now, they can like connect for free with an experienced life coach. So I've been working on developing this and getting it out there, and it's been this intense journey, and I'm getting all these people around it to help me execute it. And I'm super grateful because so far it is moving ahead with full steam. And hopefully I'll be able to offer that soon to all you guys and our Twitch friends, our other Twitch friends. Yeah, I was just reading an article about how like hotlines and crisis lines are just swamped. Like they don't have enough people. Like the one of them that I was reading about, like they now can only average like 10 minutes with somebody. Like what? That is not enough time. So yeah, I'm not making a crisis line, but I'm like, it's just crazy. Like they don't, like these resources that we all, you know, can normally use are getting swamped. And anyways, I thought this was one way we could help back. So I'm excited that I'm really grateful that so far it's working. I'm gonna do it on Discord, and I've got it all like starting to work. I have a programmer that's doing a bot for it. So it's cool, and I'm super grateful for it. Oh yeah, SS. I totally am gonna be looking for beta testers. Yeah, absolutely. I will let you know. What I'm waiting for is for the bot programmer to tell me like when he's gonna have the bot finished by. And then once I have an actual timeline, I'm gonna reach out. But yeah, right now we're thinking of like wanting 60 people to test the support line and have a session with the life coach. So Oh yeah, yes. I will reach back out to you, SS, for sure. And I appreciate it. I will be testing it from both sides. I'll do some coaching. I'm gonna get some coaching. Yeah. And that's a cool thing about life coaching is, like, it's good for everybody, basically. Yay! Oh, yay, SS, me too! It will be so helpful. Oh no, what? Getting messages. So yeah. Okay, everything's working right? I'm getting like a Discord message from Scott saying that my tech has gone wonky. I don't know. SS and I were... Oh, that was an old message? Great. Well, I'm a little on edge with the tech because we started off so rough. All right, old message. Thanks, Scott. Cool. You guys, this is all good. Oh, well, I'm trying to keep on top of things. I don't know why Discord took so long to message me. Scott, I need 2 monitors. I just have to start. I have to make that happen. And although then I'll be out of excuses. Oh yeah, SS, good question. It can be either because it's gonna be Discord. I don't know. Oh my gosh, you're getting by with 3 monitors. I don't know if every coach is going to make text communication available. I think that's one of the things we're gonna learn in the beta is how much users prefer one way or another. Most coaching sessions happen verbally, like on a phone, and that works really, really, really well. Sometimes it's hard to like cover the amount of ground like a user wants to cover in the like given time, which is usually about a half hour to an hour if it's texting. So yeah, it should be oh, okay. Well, see, that's that's the kind of stuff we need to know, SS, and I think we'll probably build in a way for people who need to do texting can do texting. So yeah, see, you're already helping so much. Yes. Okay, I'm writing down a reminder here. Okay. See, you've just changed it. I'm gonna take texting more seriously. Thank you. Okay, guys. So we've got some gratitude rolling on. Let's test out this this course. Let's see what it's like. So again, it is here, I'm gonna turn off the music. It is free, which is awesome. And here I am. Okay, so I signed in. I created an account. So here we go. So let's see. Start a new journey. Start. Oh, that's okay. Thank you for letting me know. You're not going to be the only one. Especially right now, we're like all crammed in our homes and we don't have a lot of privacy. So yeah, very cool. The science of well-being, what psychological science says about the good life.
I'm Professor Laurie Santos, a professor in psychology and cognitive science, and I'm excited that you're going to join me on this journey to learn a little bit about the science and also the practice of well-being.
Thanks, Laurie.
I started these lectures here in Silliman College, right here in my home, to introduce a small set of students to the science of psychology, and we thought that it might be so beneficial to Yale students, we wanted to bring it to a bigger group, and that's where you come in. You get a chance to watch these short lectures on the science of happiness, but also to think about how to develop these practices in your own life. That's why we've developed, through the Center for Teaching and Learning, a very cool new app known as the Rewhy app. It allows you to track all of these practices that science has told us can increase happiness in your life. Things like savoring more and gratitude and sleeping and exercise. As you watch the lectures, we encourage you to use the app to try to track these practices in your own life. I hope it'll make a difference both in terms of teaching you about the science of happiness, but also giving you the tools you need to apply those practices in your daily life. We hope you enjoy it. Check out the lectures. Thanks.
All right. So apparently there's an app, which is kind of cool, that will let us test or track our skill application. Might I suggest that if we like that idea, we could also just put the skills in Habitica? What? That's right. We could put them in here and get them done. So that's where I'm thinking. Okay. Okay, so for week 1, we've got 12 minutes of videos. So why don't we check out those? All right, let's just do this. Let's just do this thing.
Well, welcome everybody to the Science of Well-Being, what psychological science says about the good life. I'm going to kind of give a quick introduction to the stuff about the course, and then we'll get to our particular topic of today. But I kind of wanted to start because this is a bit of a strange adventure. I'm here sitting with about 25 of my students, mostly students in Silliman College, one of the residential colleges here at Yale, but a couple students who snuck in from other colleges, but we welcome you anyway. And I thought it's cool to kind of welcome you by noting that you are starting this kind of interesting new journey. And I mean new in a couple different senses. One is that this is kind of a new thing for Yale. Never before at Yale have they taught a course on the kind of science of psychology and sort of practice of how to be happy. So it's kind of new for Yale. It's sort of new for Yale's online courses. Unlike most of the online courses, we're sitting here in my living room, chatting with you guys in this kind of comfy space. It's kind of a new way to think about how we teach people who aren't at Yale. And it's also a new journey for all of you. The hope is that this isn't going to be like an ordinary kind of class or lecture series for you. This is the kind of thing that we really hope can actually change your life in a real way, not just by teaching you new content and new information, but by really changing your habits. That's sort of the goal. So welcome to this new journey. If you're scared of the journey or you don't want to be here, you can take off. They'll shut the cameras off and cut you out of it. So wait, you can go for that. Okay. But the new journey is kind of cool. The goal of the class is to do 2 separate things. One is a thing that's kind of typical of classes here at Yale, where we're going to teach you some content. We're going to teach you about the science of happiness, all these cool new findings that the field of psychology has. But the second part, which is a little bit different, which is the kind of journey part, is that we're not just going to do stuff on the science of happiness. We're going to think about the practice of happiness too.
Yes.
One of the things we're going to learn is just knowing about this information about what makes you happy isn't enough to actually make you happy. You actually have to put those things into practice.
Yes.
And the hope is that by being here as part of this course, you're kind of signing on to do that hard part too. You're not going to have homework in the way of readings or that kind of stuff, but you are going to have homework if you want this stuff to stick, which is kind of thinking about your habits and that stuff too. And in part because of that, we're really hoping, because I'm a scientist, not just to kind of give you this content, but I really kind of want to see if this works. The goal is to scale this up to a really large course at Yale. You guys are kind of the pilot program about this. And in part because of that, we really want to check whether or not this kind of approach of teaching you guys the science and sort of seeing if this practice goes together is actually going to work. And so one of your pieces of homework for tonight, if you guys are interested in doing so, is to actually help me measure whether or not this stuff is working. And we're going to do that by actually measuring your happiness levels. We're going to take that sometime this afternoon. That's going to be the before. And then at the end of this, we're going to do the after.
Sweet.
Really, our goal is to make sure that what we're doing in this course is actually having its effect. And we're going to try to look at that in detail. Okay, so what is the course about? Well, you're signed on for kind of 5 quick lectures here in my home. And we're going to go through a couple different topics. Today's topic is going to be about misconceptions about happiness, the things you think make you happy but don't actually. So be ready for kind of all of your misconceptions to be cleared up, which will be great. Next time, we're going to talk about why our expectations are so bad. Basically, I think what you'll see is many of the things we think are going to make us happy don't. And so why are we not accurate about the kinds of things that are going to make us happy? Why are we seeking out these things that aren't going to help us? Third, we're going to sort of jump to the stuff that actually really does increase happiness. And as is the case in a lot of BuzzFeed articles, the answer may surprise you. So weird. From there, we're going to kind of broaden to say, okay, if that's the stuff that's going to increase happiness, what are the strategies that we should be using? That's where we're going to get into more homework and more habits for you guys to engage in. And then the 5th thing is going to take this even broader, not just thinking about putting these strategies into practice for you yourself in terms of your own personal happiness, but how can you put these in practice more broadly? How can we use this stuff to help society or help Silliman or help things more broadly.
All right. All right. That's quite the chair. Do I do anything? No, I don't do anything. Oh, look, we could have saved a note over here. Okay. Let's see, what's that? Oh, there we go. This is our little video list.
Okay, so that's the set of topics, and we're going to start with this idea of misconceptions. But I thought, since this is the first of these lectures, it might be useful to kind of give an introduction of why I wanted to do this class, because I think that sort of shows off the point of why I think this is so important. Like, why teach this class now? Some of you know I teach a class here on campus that's a class on evolutionary psychology. I think some of you even took that class.
Evolutionary psychology.
And I didn't need to start teaching a new psychology class. In fact, it's a lot of work to come up with this stuff. I'm still working on the lectures. It takes a lot of time. But I decided to do this for a couple reasons, and I decided to do it now for a couple reasons. The first, and there's going to be 3 reasons why I decided to do this. The first of those 3 reasons is that this is the time that is ripe for thinking about applying the science of psychology, in part because we are learning a ton about how to apply like these kind of concepts about how we can make ourselves happier. We actually have lots of insights into the kinds of things that make us happier, that make us laugh, that make our lives more fulfilling. And we know this in part because not only are scientists coming up with good ways to study this stuff, good ways to measure this stuff, but folks that really think about applying science to public policy, to practice, are using this stuff a ton. So these are a couple different articles about different programs in government, both in the UK and here in the States, to apply the science of psychology to kind of nudge people's behavior in the right directions, nudge people to save more, nudge people to eat healthier, and so on. And the amazing thing is that these programs, even when they're implemented in large government scales, actually seem to work amazingly well. There's tons of successes of applying this stuff to changing people's behavior in real time. So never before have we really had so many insights that I could actually teach you about. The kind of time is ripe to start applying this stuff in our own lives. So that's kind of reason number 1. Lots of insights there to teach you guys about. Second reason, though, is that we kind of really need these insights pretty badly, because the fact is that we're not like as happy or as kind of increased in our well-being as we sort of need to be. I'll give you an article. This is from 2013 on ABC News. Americans' most unhappy people in the world, right? Yeah. And this is 2013. This is before our divisive election. This is a little bit before the kind of, the kind of recession. Like, we're just kind of unhappy. Couple quick statistics. We prescribe antidepressants at 400 times the rate that we did 20 years ago, 400 times the rate 20 years ago. Most surveys show that Americans and a lot of people in general are not getting happier. And if you look at some subsets of the population, surveys like the Harris survey and so on have shown that certain groups are actually getting more unhappy. And one of those groups is recent graduates, like a lot of you guys are about to be soon, like getting more unhappy than they've ever been and more unhappy than they were before. So this is like not cool. Like, people kind of need this stuff. The upshot is like we're just a society of like kind of walking around like not being as happy as we could be, so we kind of need this. But I think one of the reasons I chose to teach this here, and then I'm talking to you guys and not only doing an online course, is the we is a kind of broad we. It's like society at large, but I think the we here on campus is like even more needy, that like you Yale students need this stuff. And so that was reason number 2.
They all look so happy though.
Now is that you guys broadly as a society and you guys as Yale students really need this stuff. But the third reason is actually the most personal one of why I wanted to teach this, which is that it's not just Yale students that need these insights. I actually need these insights too. So I'm kind of like below average on my own happiness. So you might have the thought that like the professor teaching this course is like this like, smiley happy, and I go through life, and around all these Yale students who are sad. I'm like, I'm gonna make you guys as happy as I am. But in fact, that is not true. If anything, it's like, I'm sad too, but sometimes like.
Okay. Well, how are we doing, guys? How are we doing? So I think we get to, okay, so there's one more video for this week. And it's what is the G.I. Joe fallacy? And it's 4 minutes. So I say we do it. I just say we do it. We've completed something. All right. Join in, like jump in if you're like, oh my God, this is the worst.
This thought that because I know this stuff, should be good at it. And that's all we need to do. You need to kind of read these studies and then you're going to be golden. that actually is going to be one of the first fallacies that we talk about in the context of this course. And it's a fallacy that's kind of near and dear to my heart because I invented it with my colleague Tamar Gendler, who's a philosopher here at Yale. But it's a fallacy known as the G.I. Joe fallacy. And as you might guess, the G.I. Joe fallacy is named after G.I. Joe, the cartoon. How many of you guys saw G.I. Joe, the cartoon as a kid? Heard of G.I. Joe, the cartoon?
None of them.
People, you're missing out. It was a fantastic show from the 80s. Get your 80s culture and watch a G.I. Joe cartoon. But the fallacy is named after G.I. Joe because G.I. Joe is this show about these like military guys who had this action stuff, and it was like different, things would happen every week. But at the end of the show, every week, because it was a show for kids, they would have this like public service announcement, like look both ways when you cross the street and don't talk to strangers and all these kinds of things. And at the end of it, the kid in the public service announcement would say, "Thank you, G.I. Joe, now I know." And then G.I. Joe would say their kind of canonical phrase, which is that knowing is half the battle. And so this is the fallacy. It's this mistaken idea that knowing is half the battle, right? In G.I. Joe, we used to think that when you learn look both ways when you cross the street, that you're kind of done. Now you know how to do it. And G.I. Joe even has this kind of awesome like graphic if you Google it on the internet. But the claim is that this actually isn't true. Merely knowing something is not enough to put into practice. Merely knowing something is not enough to actually change your behavior. And that's the G.I. Joe fallacy. And to get a sense of this, I wanted to kind of give you this little metaphor of a spot where you can see that knowing is not enough to really change how you actually think about it and how you actually behave. And to do that, we're going to use a bit of a metaphor. Sometimes seeing our own thought patterns aren't as easy as we think. And we're going to use the metaphor of vision, in part because we're used to seeing that our vision is off. We're used to seeing things like optical illusions and so on. Some of you may have seen this one before. It's the Mueller-Lyer illusion. How many have actually seen it before? Some folks, right? And so for the folks who maybe haven't seen it before, which of these two lines, the top one or the bottom one, looks longer? Or even if you know it, say which one to you looks like it's longer.
Oh, the second one looks longer.
The bottom one, thank you. Well, if you've seen the image before, you know that in fact they're the same length. We could take it away and do that. But this is the thing about knowing not being half the battle. You guys have learned about this in intro psych or on the internet and so on. But you can't teach your eyes not to see the bottom one as longer. Even though you know what the problem is, your eyes are still seeing it in the wrong way. Merely knowing it doesn't make it better. Here's an even more fun illusion, I think, which is one maybe some of you haven't seen, which is Shepard's tables after the vision scientist Roger Shepard. And here's the illusion. Which of the two tables is kind of longer in depth, the one on the left or the one on the right? Like which of these two tables is kind of longer both ways? The one on the left? Other people think so too? All right, here's what we do, the awesomeness, because I planned for this, is that we're going to measure it and see that your vision is wrong, right? You ready? So here is the one on the left. Put that
Oh,
there.
she's cut it out.
So basically, did I do it right? No, it's upside down. Hold on. We got this. There we go. One on the left. And here we go, one on the right. This is where you're supposed to go, whoa. Oh my goodness, right? And I actually invested in this construction paper. I did this whole demo, but now you know this, but you're going to look at it and you're going to see it exactly the same way. It doesn't change how your mind perceives it. I can teach you how these illusions work. I could teach you the vision science behind it, which I'm not going to do. It's still not going to change how you see it. And this is the part of the G.I. Joe fallacy, this idea that knowing is kind of half the battle. It's not. Like, we actually have to do all kinds of stuff other than just knowing stuff to change our behavior. If we really want to change our behavior, we have to change habits. We can't just learn the stuff. And that is why your professor is kind of just as mopey and just as not good at this well-being stuff as you guys. The hope is that we together, as a socially supported community, can put these habits into place, we can commit to them, and then we're all gonna
sounds
get
like
there.
what we're doing. Knowing is half the battle. That's so true. Fine, it's false. Guys, I think we passed our first test. Ta-da!
Anyway, these are the 3 reasons why I wanted to teach this course and why I want to teach this course now. Now we'll get into the part about these kinds of misconceptions. Misconceptions in terms of what we think is going to make us happy and also why it kind of doesn't. We'll focus more on why it doesn't next round.
All right, guys. What? I feel like we could have had music that whole time. We could have. But we didn't. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry. All right. So that was kind of cool. I like that the program is like a collection of short videos and then stuff to read. I appreciate that she's, and I don't know if we get to participate in this, I hope we do, but that our happiness will be measured at the beginning of the course and then measured at the end. I definitely am curious about their app. Yeah, and this G.I. Joe fallacy was, so I'm obviously like processing this in front of you, but no, it sounded pretty fascinating, and it's something that I, like as a coach and, you know, streaming the content that I stream, think about all the time, which is how do we move from knowing about something to actually implementing it and changing our behavior. And so I'm really curious. So one, I'm really like grateful to know that knowing about it isn't enough. Like it really isn't enough, that you have to somehow change your habits, which will change your behavior over the long term. So that's cool. That's I think going to be very helpful, and I think is like reaffirming like what we're doing. So for example, you know, I mentioned doing the Power Up Thought Control exercise. So this is a activity you can do that is the start of a series of activities. Like, so the way that I'm planning on presenting the thought control stuff, remember your thinking controls your actions, thinking controls your emotions that lead to your actions. The way that I want to introduce this and implement it myself is sequentially, where the second exercise builds upon the first exercise, and the third exercise builds upon the second and the first, because I know the end exercise that I want to do like frequently in my life in order to build a habit around controlling my thoughts and therefore controlling my outcome of my life, really. So it's kind of like math, right? You're learning a basic premise, you're getting used to practicing the basic premise, and then the next exercise is gonna build on top of that. So this is one way that I think we're doing what she's talking about, which is we're starting to actually change our behavior. So knowing isn't enough. You have to put it into action, and you have to have an evidence-based approach to putting into action so that the effort you're making will actually lead to a difference in your life. So okay, that's cool. Oh. Ooh, SS, if you have a way to share that with me, I would be super curious, because I definitely am aware of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and it is absolutely, you're right, like this comes out of that school of psychology for sure. But yeah, I would so like to know about like tuning into bodily reactions. Yeah, that could totally help inform the way that I'm sharing this with you. And this exercise that I'm like building on sequentially for all of us comes out of research on resilience. So it's applying cognitive behavioral therapy in a way that will increase our resilience. That doesn't mean I can't roll in other goodies from other exercises. Perfect. Thanks, SS. I appreciate it so much. Cool.